car is shaking from the wind. This wind always shows up when these transformations are happening. You can't even see me when I'm in the sun. Look at that. Disappear. Okay. I came out here to go to the beach, but I can't even get out of the car. Is how windy it is. This is my view. This is what I'm looking at. I can't even get out of the car because it is so windy. Literally, like, I can't, you know that kind of wind where you cannot breathe? You can't take a breath in because it's so strong. I don't know if you can hear it in the video, but it's very loud and the car is shaking. And I'm on a cliff next to the ocean. How did this happen? Nah, it's not gonna blow me off the cliff, but I feel like I'm on the edge of the world. Like, literally. This is the Pacific Ocean, and we are on one of the, you know, shit. We're on one of the fault lines. We're on the, what do they call it? The Ring of Fire around the Pacific. And so this actually brings me to what I want to talk about. The creation of this realm. The structure of this realm and reality that we are in. There's a geometry, there's a formation to how all realms and realities are created. A realm is created by the beings that are inhabiting it and by the interaction of non-physical entities. Any physical realm is created by the interaction of non-physical entities, of frequencies, frequency ranges, which are entities, but that have not come into physical form yet. There has to be one or more to interacting to create a field. And there's an infinite variety of ways that this can happen. There's an infinite different kinds of formations that spirits, different kinds of frequencies, different notes in a scale, and then different combinations and different ways of bringing them together. So if you think about frequencies, you know, when they're combined, we call them a chord, right? This is the same thing as when we say like the fabric of reality. It's a chord because it's a combination of different frequencies that when they come together, they interact and they create a texture. It takes two or more. I think really the bare minimum number is 3, and 4 is better, and upwards from there you just get stronger textures. So every realm has different creators, and you can see the creators of that realm by looking at the texture. Just like if you look at a composite chord in music, you could break that down to the individual notes that make up that chord. And the reality that we're in is created by 4 spirits, and it's created on the formation that they are interacting in is a cross section. It's two oppositions that are at 90-degree angles. And this is a particular formation. Not all, like I was saying, not all realms are created with this formation. And not all formations would necessarily have to be these particular frequencies. Like, there's an infinite way that frequencies can interact. And the one that we're in is defined by the entities, but also the formation in which they're interacting. It's like a dance. It's like a dance. And, you know, everything that we see falls within these 4 frequencies. And then the way that those frequencies interact, is the infinite variety that we see in, you know, textures and colors and manifestations in physical reality. Everything we see in reality is a product of these 4 frequencies interacting in some kind of way. So the 4 frequencies, it's 2 fire spirits interacting with 2 water spirits. Okay. And the fire spirits are like dragon type celestial beings, cosmic beings. The water spirits that are interacting are they're all basically dragon, like fire dragons versus water dragons. And well, that's interesting, because I think, all right, let me not get into that right now. Let me stay on track. There's 2 fire frequencies and 2 water frequencies, okay? Fire is the destroyers, and water is the preservers. So there's the fire is the charge, the plus and minus charge. On the right hand, we have the external fire, the positive charge of fire. Within that has a negative charge and a positive charge. On the left side, we have the negative charge of fire, which also has a positive and a negative side to that as well. And together they create this back and forth. They have this back and forth action. It's like people be looking. Like, excuse you, keep driving. Thank you. Anyways. Yeah, it's an interaction, a push and a pull, a plus and a minus back and forth between these 2 fire. The fire interacts in they're both destroyers, but they destroy in different ways. And the externalized fire, it creates a substance. So it becomes earth. It creates a fire earth on the right side, this positive charge, this external fire. It creates earth. So think like volcanoes. How volcanoes is the internal fire of the planet that's coming out and becoming solid rock. That's a manifestation of that externalizing fire. So that's also where we get metals and a lot of magnetism. That's where the magnetism comes in. The substances that carry a charge, that have like power sources, all metals, all forging, like how like volcanoes, and that's what a forge is. Like you get this really, really hot liquid metal is like a type of fire, right? That's the kind of fire I'm talking about. And it comes out and it creates the external, these solid forms. So it's really associated with the body and actions, and this is the magma. The internalizing of fire. So you see how that's like, it has its liquid, it has its, that external fire, it's coming from the inside going outside. So that's the plus, that's the minus to the plus on the plus side of fire. On the negative side of fire, it's coming from the outside and going in. And this is like breath and fire that is coming in. So like lightning, static, electricity. So this is where we get electromagnetism. Okay, we have a conductor and we have a charge. So this is the a spirit that knows how to receive fire, right? So this right side, the spirit coming in on the right knows how to push fire out. Okay, and then the spirit coming in from the left knows how to receive fire, how to draw it in. So this is like the heart and the breath, and this is like fire that becomes solid, and then fire that sort of travels through liquid or air. And think about how, you know, electricity passes through air really well, and it passes through water really well, right? And it also passes through metal, and different metals carry that charge differently. But there's this relationship between these two, different giving out or receiving of fire. And the interaction of those creates this externalization and internalization. What am I trying to say? No, the interaction of these two fire spirits creates a earth air interaction, right? Where one is becoming solid and one is condensing, and one is expanding and condensing in that way. And this, so the right side of fire is like a earth fire. The left side of fire is like an air fire. And this is where we get the earth air charge. Now, that earth air charge, that polarization like this, is like they're both going like this, and that creates like this. Now, that back and forth between condensing and expanding substances, right? That is then taken by the water spirits, which are moving on a down and up axis instead of a left and right axis. Like the fire spirits are interacting like this, the water spirits are interacting like this. And notice how the fire spirits don't really cross each other. They cross a little bit, but they're more going like this. Like this one is really, the right side is really is fire. It's not, it's only fire. It's fire and earth. This one is fire and air. They don't really cross into each other's territory. They meet in the middle, and bounce off each other. This electromagnetism. The water axis from the crown to the tail or the root or the feet, they cross each other a lot, actually. They both polarities of water, both poles have both earth and air aspects to them. They both are, they both contain the back and forth charge of earth and air that the fire spirits have generated, the back and forth of earth and air, and the water spirits draw that back and forth charge up into up and down. Both of them have both aspects. So the water, there's the liquid water, there's the all the flowing, like there's the spirit that knows how to flow and generate and pool resources. So like all liquid water, oceans and rivers and storm systems, and this is where you see, you know, cloud, like air, that a lot of what we call air is actually water that's moving around us, right? And so the one that is drawing down, the spirit that is drawing down, the water spirit that is drawing down, it's more it's the liquid water, and it's water that pools and connects. So it's more associated with the element of water. And the way that you see the earth aspect of it is you see it in all like living plants and living animals and lush forests and oasis and rivers and springs and that kind of very like the roots of the trees, like the water, the flowing water that is in the ground. That's where that spirit is. It's drawing, it's pooling, it's condensing the water down into droplets. And this creates, it's like it creates earth first, and then through that pooling down, it creates air, because that's how we get a lot of the atmosphere, right? Is this, the trees accessing that water table below and drawing it up into these different water cycles. So it's this drawing down energy. That's what that spirit is providing. And it's like that spirit takes that earth and air charge and draws it down into sort of like liquid form. And so we get all these storm systems and bodies of water, and all the animals and life and that's generated out of that movement. And then the one at the top is taking that charge and going like this. It's, instead of drawing it down first and then up, is drawing it up and then down. So this is more, it's water, but it's more associated with air or earth. Like this, the lower water is more like water and fire, because it's liquid water and earth. It's like water that's become fiery. It's like it's light, it's noon, it's when everything is growing and everything is sort of rising. It's like the summertime, it's the equator, it's where everything is very lush and connected. It's very connected. And then this one is like, it expands it first. It's more like water that goes into the air, and it becomes more like it leans more into the air part of it and less into the earth part of it. But the way that it becomes earth is it like crystallizes. It's the part of earth that we see that's almost like the water that's dried up. right? Like salt is when we see salt when there was an ocean and then it dried up. Crystals that form in the earth, that crystalline formation, that geometry, it's like the separating of the molecules and the structure. It builds structure. And it's like creating separation and then condensing down versus condensing down and then generating momentum. It's like throwing things up in the air and creating space and separation and then everything falling down and condensing. So this is snow, this is ice, this is solid, all of the ways that water becomes solid. Clouds too, like mist or like mountains, right? That's where the snow is usually the most, is in the mountains or high up. And cold, like this is a warm, cold differentiation. This spirit knows how to separate and understand. So this is really like basically the separation of this positive negative charge between the fire spirits is drawn into the body and the mind. Now the positive charge of the fire spirit, the fire spirit on the right side, it's also associated with the body because it's the earth fire. The fire on the left, the air fire, is also associated with the mind because it's that internal fire. Electricity. And so it's kind of the four spirits come together with the two elements to create these other two elements. Like basically spirits, earth and air are only part of the physical reality. The fire and the water is the yin realm. Every non-physical entity, what that means is that it's in the yin realm, right? Or it's in the cosmic, to turn it into a physical reality, it has to have earth and air. And this is two different kinds of liquid spirits, fire and water. Those different kinds of spirits interacting is what actually creates the other two elements of earth and air, which is the physical realm, which is the body and the mind. So there's these kind of two different crosses, basically. Like, it's like fire and water cross to create earth and air. And everything everything falls within that interaction. That's all for now, folks. I'll be back with more.